I'm Edwin Warfield, the publisher of City Biz, and I'm honored today to interview Roya Wiener, who is the communications manager for Meta. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Edwin. It's nice to be with you today.
So tell us what you do for Meta and how that relates to our topic of parental supervision today.
So, I'm on the social impact communications team, and it's a joy to be able to talk about features like this that are coming to our family of apps and products. Earlier this summer, right as kind of kids were heading into the summer break, they're going to be spending more time at home, we announced new tools and features and resources to support parents, guardians, and teens across our technologies. So we started rolling out parental supervision tools in VR, so in virtual reality, in the Quest headsets, and we added features, as you mentioned, to our Meta Family Center, as well as supervision tools in Instagram, like the ability for parents to send invites to their teens, to initiate tools, and to set specific time limits on their teens' use. So it's really a two-way conversation that we're facilitating between teens and their parents to take part in these new resources.
And so, how will Meta's new parental supervision tools help reduce risks to teens using the platforms?
So we know that teens and parents are the best positioned to have these conversations. And so we created the platform for them to be able to initiate that connection with one another for supervision tools. So for things like nudges, for example. So we often know ourselves, we could sort of end up scrolling and go kind of deep into a topic, maybe for a longer period of time than we intended. So a nudge is, if you're going around a ton of posts or kind of in that sort of deep scrolling, you'll be able to get a little nudge to take a break or maybe find a new topic to explore. And this is to really help, make sure teens aren't going too deep into one area. And it was informed by research done with teens, Gen Z experts, and creators alike to make sure that what we're creating is something that's useful for them.
And tell us about the new features in the Meta Family Center.
So the Meta Family Center is great. I'm a parent myself. My little ones are 1.5 and 3.5, so a little bit young to utilize these tools now, but I can't wait to see what we add as they get older. A lot of parents, maybe virtual reality is not something they're super familiar with, or even they're not on Instagram themselves. And so what we have in this resource hub is information about how the tools work, backgrounders that are super accessible and easy to understand on things like these supervision tools, and general education around things like how to keep your teen and child safe online, how to have conversations around things like cyberbullying and things that have come into the online space that always existed in the physical space, but how do parents broach those conversations? So it's a really jam-packed resource center that we continue to add to make sure it's useful for parents, guardians, and families.
And how can parents access the tools and resources and introduce them to their teens?
You're exactly right on that. That's a critical part. So what we've done in this invitation model is help invite the conversation online, but also offline between parents and teens around usage in VR and on Instagram. And so through the Meta Family Center, you can get resources and tools and tips on how to access the tools. And then from there, you can actually apply them, have the conversation with your child and teen, and then take it to the online experience as well. So all of this can be found in the Meta Family Center, and of course within the apps themselves, in Quest and on Instagram.
And so, can you explain what nudges are and how they actually work?
Yeah, so this is all based on research that we did with teens and experts in this space. And it's sort of giving you a nudge to maybe take a break or check out a different topic. I know for me, if I'm not really mindful of my social media usage, I can sometimes go, oh my gosh, 15 minutes just went by and I've just been sort of scrolling content. The same goes for teens, and maybe even more so if they don't have some of those structures in place to help nudge them away. And so it's sort of like the timeout feature we have where it kind of reminds you to sort of take a break, but also nudges them into maybe other content, other things that might be interesting for them. And so it's an area where we're going to keep developing. We've seen that based on feedback, 58% of respondents in a recent study said that nudges made them more mindful with how they were using their time across social media.
That's interesting. So why is it important for teens to accept nudges and set limits on the time they spend on social media? And why is it important for them not to spend too much time on one topic?
So I think, again, based on research and what we've seen from hearing from teens and families, and again, I think I can even look into my own personal experience. If you're kind of too deep in something, you might lose sight of and lose track of time, or you may not see something else that you could be interested in. I know for me, when I'm sort of scrolling, it may not be the most meaningful experience, but if I switch topics and say go into something related to cooking or recipes, I might get some inspiration for dinner tonight, or might kind of learn something about a new place that I didn't know before. So it's sort of just making sure that the experience that a person is having on the platform is meaningful, interesting, and not kind of taking them down an area where they weren't looking to go.
And so, what is Meta helping to achieve?
I think we want to be the safest place for teens online. And I think we see that in the ways that we have our integrity tools in place, but also in features like this to make sure that kids and families have the tools they need to make the best possible experience on Instagram. And again, as we move more forward into the future in spaces like virtual reality as well.
So, has Meta seen a positive response among teens and parents from rolling out these types of tools and resources?
Yeah, so far the feedback's been great. And one thing we've done is partner with Gen Z creators. So the people making the content on Instagram, they're involved also to, help kind of have the message to take a break. We're showing those notifications within Reels featuring content from creators themselves. So it feels like a very natural extension is what we're hearing from folks. It feels like a natural extension of their Instagram experience that sort of is that nudge that's required to try something new.
So, is there any part of the Meta story and your involvement that you haven't shared with us that you'd like to share with us?
Again, I think as a parent and a consumer myself of social media, I think having these tools in place is like creating and building on the right infrastructure to make sure everyone's having the best possible experience. We learn the most when we can hear from people using the tools and, of course, informed by research. So, again, as a parent and a consumer of social media myself, I love seeing features like this because it helps us put that front foot forward in understanding how people are using the tools and to make sure they're having a safe, educational, fun, and entertaining experience on the platform.
Well, Roy, I want to thank you for your time, and it's always exciting to hear how Meta is evolving and dealing with the challenges of the world. And I'm glad you're working on putting some restrictions in and nudges involved in terms of the next generation. So thank you for your time, Roy.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be with you and your viewers and listeners today. Thanks for having me.